Okay, before we get into one of these Saturday SEC showdown games, we want to mention what we have going on this weekend. Jim Feist is off a 9-5 college football Saturday. He was 3-1 with high rollers. That included Penn State and Army top plays. And he had a play on Michigan State, too, as a big dog, but they fell apart late. He also had a non-conference game of the month. That was an easy win over Utah, so he's a perfect 2-0 with college football games of the month. You can get his Sharper of the Month available at jimfeist.com. And, Jeff, you've had a run the last couple of years in college football, actually going back to last season, 82, 59-2, plus you're on a very hot baseball run as well.
Yes, it's July 26th in baseball, 78-48, 62%. I had a blockbuster win with Utah on Saturday. If you go to jimfeist.com, look for LBSS, how it plays there every day. This week I'm going to have a 3-game package for only $39. So check out jimfeist.com, go and click on LBSS. You get plays every day, baseball, NFL, college football. This weekend, a 3-game package for $39.
Okay, let's get into one of our Saturday marquee games. It's going to be a Georgia against South Carolina in the SEC. You got a Georgia team that has had 2 weeks to prepare. This will be the first road game for the Bulldogs. This team looks really good. And then you got the South Carolina team that had a lot of expectations, but they're 1-1 on the year. They've had some shaky problems. They do come off a win over East Carolina, but it wasn't quite the blowout people thought, 33-23. And of course, they had that disaster against Texas A&M that just shredded them, 52-28. So, Sean, what is going on with the South Carolina team and the South Carolina defense?
Actually, this might be the marquee matchup of the day. It's a 3:30 Eastern time game. It goes on CBS. And Georgia, the road team, it opened this week at 6.5, now down to 6 to South Carolina. And the first note that I had on the game is, wow, the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, a home dog. Spurrier, in his 10th year at South Carolina, has not been a home dog since 2010. And in his last 7 times at South Carolina as a home dog, he's covered 6 of the last 7 times, covered the last 4, and won 3 of those straight up. Originally, this is what bothers me. Originally, before the season started, the line on this game, because they post, in town, we post games of the year, was Georgia -2, maybe even 2.5 and 2, but much more competitive line than you see now. Couple of problems here. Georgia, let's start off. South Carolina, of course, 1-1 straight up. I thought they were lucky to win against East Carolina in the second half. And we've already talked about that blowout to Kenny Football at Texas A&M. I think Jeff has named that guy Kenny Football now. It's okay to smile, Jeff. You can grin a little bit. Anyway, let's look at
Johnny Manziel gave that nickname.
Yeah, I heard that. So I'm giving you a plug here. So anyway, so far, South Carolina 1-2 straight up, not looking good in those wins. And like I said, I thought they got a little lucky in the second half to come back and beat East Carolina. They haven't covered the number against the bookie yet. However, they are 3-0 against the number versus Georgia at home, going back to 2008. Okay, this is a major contest for both of these teams, but especially Georgia in my mind. This is a Southeast Division game. Georgia, in their mindset, they can run the table if they can just get by this game. If you look at their schedule, they can beat everybody. The only problem might be Auburn, who they play on November the 15th, but it's a home game. They lost to Auburn last year by 5 points. That was on the road, but the year before that, they faced Auburn at home 38-zip. It was a whitewash job. They wouldn't have any problem with that. So this is a straight shot to the SEC title game in Georgia. All they have to do is win here. Problem is, and you know me, everything I do is this year. Everything I look at is this year. There's not quite enough for me to get any stuff. But so far this year, road favorites of 7 or less are just 5-4 straight up, which isn't bad, but they're just 4-5 against the house. I would lean to Georgia because of all the motivation. The major fly in the ointment, aside from the fact you have to lay 6, is Georgia, realizing how important this game was, may tend to play not to lose. And I hate that mentality when it happens. It isn't like Georgia has Aaron Murray like they did last year. South Carolina, big holes to fill, and we're seeing it now. No Connor Shaw. We've talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and those 2 defensive linemen. And I guess maybe Spurrier's having trouble, plugging the holes. But I'm going to go in the motivation part of this game and just think that Georgia will win it, and they'll get kind of 6. The number might actually come down. I can't see it going any higher. I saw it open at 6.5. It came down to 6. I saw a couple of 5.5s, but we'll probably have to deal with 6. I'm going to lean to Georgia to get this job done by at least a touchdown.
Okay, well, Georgia has not been covering numbers going back to last year.
Right.
4-9-1 against the spread. They did cover, though, their one game this year. That was a trashing of Clemson, 45-21 with 459 yards. You must have had that game.
I did. One of my few good ones.
291 yards is what the defense allowed. And, of course, the big story was rushing, 328 to 88. They just steamrolled with Todd Gurley, an NFL.
Yeah, did it in the second half. It was actually tied 21, but they came back in the second half and swapped.
That's right. And then you've got the South Carolina defense that has given up over 130 yards rushing in both of their games. The one against Memphis, East Carolina, they just lost 33, or they won 33-23. They still gave up 441 yards. So, Jeff, I guess the question here is it really this Georgia offense primed to steamroll what might be an overrated Gamecocks defense for the third straight game?
Well, the key, I think, is what you said. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, while South Carolina has been facing 2 offensive juggernauts in Texas A&M and East Carolina. The defense has got to be a little bit tired, though, and it wasn't doing a very good job in the first place. For Georgia, quarterback Hudson Mason will be making his first road start this season, but last year he made his first start of his career at Georgia Tech, and they brought his team back from a 20-0 deficit, and they came back and won 41-34. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. The last 2 trips to Columbia, Georgia has lost, including a 35-7 in 2012. Dylan Thompson has been decent with South Carolina, 25 of 38, 266 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But South Carolina's got another big job in hands this week. They have to stop Todd Gurley, who scored 4 touchdowns versus Clemson. This is going to be I'm going to lean toward Georgia, too, because I just think it's a great situation for them, having the bye week last week. They're coming off a big win off Clemson. South Carolina they've had a rough 2 weeks, even though they got by East Carolina without covering. So I'll lean toward Georgia in this game, John.
Well, they don't play many games in a college football season. Here we are, week 3. If South Carolina is going to start gelling and playing better on defense, they better make it move rather swiftly. But I'm going to take a look at the total in this game. Mark Richt, he's 10-5 straight up the last 3 years on the road, a very good road. In fact, if you go back several years, 48-20 straight up, 35-32 against the spread. And it's with South Carolina being at home, it's going to be tough to make a case for the side. However, a lot of offensive talent on both sides of the ball. Todd Gurley, an NFL caliber talent running back. The Georgia defense last year gave up 29 points per game. That was 79th in the nation. They played very well against Clemson, but still early in the year. And we've already talked about how bad the South Carolina defense has been. They gave up 453 yards to Memphis, 680 to Texas A&M. So you're talking about a team that's given up 37.5 points per game when South Carolina is at home against a good team, a team that comes in with a winning road record. We're talking 21-10 over the total. And then last year's game was a 41-30 shootout, so I'm going to be looking at a high-scoring game.